Salute to you all. The brave never fall. I love having some type of a fire burning in me at all times, no matter what I'm doing. It could be the most minute task you can think of, monotonous chore you have to do, or it can be the biggest thing that will physically exert you, like work or running, like I do with my marathons and my long runs, that you have to pull from a place that you know that doesn't come naturally. You have to try to physically and mentally pull an extra effort out of you. It's just that relentless fuel that you have to burn inside of you to get over the hump, and especially with things that you're passionate about. If there's goals that you want to reach, you need a little bit more motivation, and David Goggins, one of my favorite people ever, who has inspired me beyond anything I ever thought I can do mentally and physically. I owe a lot of who I am to him and his story. If you have not dove straight into his story and his life, I will put a link in the description. Go down and check out his channel and check out him on Instagram and read his book, Can't Hurt Me. It has changed my life. But he uses fuel as motivation unlike anybody I've ever seen before. And he always talks about motivation and being inspired as things that are completely different than what people actually take them as. Motivation to him is something that kind of motivates you to get up and do some of the things you do throughout your day. You're motivated to get up and do your chores. You're motivated to get up and go to work, go do a 30-minute workout. You're inspired by other people who you see on television. Maybe there's a family member that inspires you. But if you dive deeper into that motivation becomes a driven lifestyle. You're driven to do these things, meaning it doesn't matter what happens in your life, you're going to get it in. That 30-minute workout is an hour and 30 minutes. Those chores, it's not laundry. You're painting, you're going outside, you're doing yard work, you're doing the extra mile every single time you do something. It's not just about the task, it's about going above and beyond. Just doing the task is not enough. And I have really latched onto that and used that as fuel for everything that I do. So whenever I do something, I'm always doing something extra within that task. I even know, like, if I go and do my laundry while I'm in between loads, I drop down and I'll do 20 to 25, 30 push-ups just for no reason at all. It's just become a habit. I just always am linking things together. I'm not saying that's what everybody should do. You have to find out what works for you. But for me, that's the kind of stuff that I do. I try to do something physical with every single thing that I do. If I can't do something physical, if I'm burnt out, then I'm always learning something. So I'll pull up something, a video on YouTube or Instagram, and it can be 3 to 4 minutes long, but it has to be something I've never learned before and something I didn't even know about. And that is my tool for the day. I just strengthened my mind. I got my mind someplace that it didn't think it would be at that day. And that's exciting to me. That's a fulfilled day to me, to go physically further than you had to and mentally further than you had to. Because you don't have to do these things. These are things that you do because you want to do them. You know that they're beneficial and add value to your life. It's going to make you stronger. That is the whole point. It makes you a more well-rounded person. You feel like you're more connected to the world the more that you know and the more physically exerted you are. There's nothing better than being physically exerted when you've earned it and you finally get to sit down and reflect on the day when you've come damn near draining yourself empty physically and mentally and emotionally. I think that's another big component, and that emotional part can be with relationships. Your relationships with friends, family. You want to give all the love you can give that day. Don't hold back. You never know when you're going to see that person or those people for the last time. You just never know. So I always try to drain all those things out of me, just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I try to meditate and get my energy out there, and I try to absorb as much positive energy as I can and get rid of all the negative energy. All of that stuff happens within my day, and I'm proud to say I'm disciplined enough where all those things happen in one day, and I'm disciplined about it to the point I don't even think about it. I can just sit back at the end of the day and know that I hit every single one of those points multiple times a day. So I know I'm not in danger of missing anything. It's just built into the routine. But that's a driven lifestyle. That's fuel. How do you get fuel? How do you get that inspiration from yourself to say, okay, I need to inspire myself to do this? And again, David Goggins, not to steal his thunder, but he talks about the fuel is inside of you. Your inspiration is inside of you. It's your passion. All the inspiration and the fuel you ever need is inside of you. It's just called your passion for what you want to do. All the passion you need is inside of you. All the motivation you ever need is inside of you. And it's just a simple need to want to do better for yourself, to be the best version of yourself, to not give up when you want to give up, to break through barriers, walk through those invisible walls. There is another added motivation. And this is one that I've found very influential to me. And again, it goes back to another concept of David Goggins. He talks about taking people's souls. If you read the book, that's Can't Hurt Me. It is a huge component of that book. Breaking souls, taking souls, and not being mediocre, not accepting mediocrity. And for me, it took me a while to kind of figure out where does that lie. And it's just, you're just at battle with yourself all the time. So mediocrity means something completely different to someone else than it would for you. So for me, I've taken all those concepts and I've always tried to make everything a challenge against myself. But sometimes you need a little bit extra motivation, a little bit more inspiration, a little bit more passion and drive to thrive through the day. And I always take it upon myself to think, you know what? People are judging you all the time. I don't really care if people judge me all that much, because when I know if I'm doing the things that I need to do for myself, I don't really care what anybody else thinks, because ultimately it's me who's going to go to bed at night and wonder and go back through everything that I did wrong anyway. I don't need other people to tell me stuff that I already know I did wrong. If I don't know and these people tell me, then I'm going to take that in too. But am I going to care what people think about me? No, not at all. I just can't do that, because it's not healthy. And a lot of times, whatever you think those people are judging you about, you already know them anyway. So what's the problem? And if they're judging about stuff that has nothing to do with you, who cares? But I have gotten to a place where if you can trick yourself into believing that people are talking about you, or they're expecting you to do more, or they're expecting you to do less. And I always felt like, to quiet out all that noise, how do I get to a point where I'm quieting out people who are judging? When you know that they're judging, you may not care, but you still know that they're judging. Where do you go mentally to deal with that? And one of my things is that you just shut them up with your actions. And you use the fuel of the fact that these people are judging you, and these people are out to, in a lot of cases, to hurt you, to make you get down on yourself. They want you to feel the way that they feel a lot of times. Not saying that everybody is, but there are some bitter people out there who wouldn't mind seeing somebody else just as bitter as they are. So how do you deal with that? I know people deal with things differently. My personal way of dealing with it is making sure that I never give anyone the opportunity to truly judge me in a way where they feel like that they're 100% factual about what they're judging me about. And again, it doesn't mean that I care. I just like the fact that I can show someone that some people in this world are strong enough mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. They're strong enough to ignore, overcome, and succeed in life, regardless if you're judging them or not. And I want it to be blatantly obvious to anybody that I'm not living this life for you. I'm doing all this stuff for me. And I'm using the fuel from that energy, that negative energy that they have. I take that energy and I use it as fuel. And that makes me go harder. It makes me want to just do even better, because they want you to fail. Again, there's a fine line here. You're not doing it because of them. You're doing it because it's a reminder that you are doing things the right way. I love it because if they're judging you and they're staring at you, there's something about you that they either don't like, they're envious of, they're jealous of, or they want to be more like. They just don't know how to express that. And I've found a very simple way of doing it. It's just you be yourself. You don't worry about anything else. You have all the bases covered. You just be yourself. You continue doing exactly what you're doing as if they never existed. And that's something I had to really work on, because when I was younger, I didn't have that concept in my mind. It wasn't something I was disciplined about. I would get anxiety over people. Just the thought of somebody judging me would send me into an anxiety-fueled mess because I was constantly worrying about what people thought about me, about every aspect of me. And instead of using it as fuel to overcome what I thought these people were judging me about, I use it as fuel to get down on myself and fall into a depression. When I should have just taken the time to realize, what is it about myself that I don't like? Forget them. What is it about myself that makes me feel like somebody would judge me? Because it says a whole lot about me, more so than it ever will about a lot of these people, because they really don't even know you. And the ones who do know you, sure, they may be judging you, but you really don't worry about them because they get to see on a far more consistent basis what you're really made of. They know the type of metal you're made of. So if they're judging you, they're just being vindictive at that point. You're not worried about them. You're not worried about the people who don't know you. So who are you worried about? You're worried about yourself. You're seeing yourself through other people's eyes. And you're judging yourself through other people's eyes. You're judging yourself based on, if you were standing with them, what would you be saying about yourself? That's what I took away from my really big anxiety-filled issues with being judged. And I had to figure out, how do I quiet all this noise? Because ultimately it's not the people, it's me. How do I quiet all these random thoughts I have in my head that I think other people are saying about me, but they're not. I'm saying it to myself. Most people don't care. Sure, you're going to have people that judge you, and they'll openly judge you. You don't worry about them. The only time you ever worry about them is when you know you should be doing something better and you're not. Then you really have nothing to say to them in the first place. They're doing you a favor. But you have to look yourself in the mirror and understand the difference. Are they doing you a favor by judging you? Or are you just judging yourself and putting it upon them and saying they're judging you? Because it makes you dealing with yourself and looking in the mirror easier. When you're saying, hey, I'm cool with myself. They just don't like me. Or they're just jealous of me. They don't understand me. I'm a mystery to them. Maybe they see something in you that you don't see in yourself. Judgment is not always a bad thing. To quiet it, you have to quiet the voices in your own head first. Otherwise, it's just going to get mixed up in the outside noise that are going to be there anyway. If somebody's judging you, truly judging you, you're not the only one. They're judging everybody and they're judging themselves. You have to find the fuel for yourself to quiet the ones who doubt you the most. If you can really go out there and find the ones who doubt you, those are the ones you want to show, no, I'm going to give you every reason not to doubt me ever again. That's the fuel. And I've done it a lot. And what you get out of it is a huge reward, because you're going to overcome something and someone that doubted you. They're going to look at you differently because there's nothing else for them to say or do. They can't say that you aren't willing to go the extra mile. They can't say you're doing something wrong if you know what to address in yourself. But a lot of times that just is you. You have to figure out what all those issues are, or how do you know what to fix? A lot of people who are upset with people who judge them, it's frustrating because you don't really understand what it is you've been judged about. You're not talking to these people. They're not really telling you while they're judging you, while they're doubting you, while they're hoping you fail and they truly believe you will fail. You haven't explored it enough. And sure, you could talk to them, but how genuine are they going to be straight to your face? Most of the times, people are not going to tell you all your flaws straight to your face unless you pay for it. I mean, you go to a counselor, they may tell you, but a normal person is not going to be that brutally honest to you. Unless they're vindictive and sadistic, then of course they will. And at that point, you shouldn't be talking to that person in the first place. So ultimately, it circles back to you. You have to make sure you're always forward thinking. Before you start any task, just know before you go into that task, you're going to do something a little extra. You're going to start building in routines. You're going to start building in routines within the routines. You're going to start being more structured, more disciplined about what you're doing, because that's going to take a lot of that doubt out of your mind. Once something gets repetitive and you know you're doing it right, you're not going to revert. You're not going to go backwards. You're not going to go back to where you were before. It's going to be very hard for you to do that once you develop a routine and discipline about the things that are important to you in your life, especially the ones you feel like you struggle at. Those are the ones you want to tackle the fastest. You want to get on top of those things, and you want to make sure you are doing them the best way you possibly can, because it removes the doubt from your mind. And once people see you doing stuff without you doubting yourself, they'll stop doubting you. There's nothing to doubt. When people look at you and they can tell that you are uneasy around people who may be judging you, they feed upon that. People feed off of that energy. It's something for them to talk about. Especially people who haven't gone there like you've gone there. I try not to give people that opportunity. I try to go hard at everything, and I'm not doing it for anybody but myself. Because then I know if I'm doing it for myself, there's nothing anybody else can say about me. And as life goes on, there's going to be things you're not going to know how to do well, and people are going to judge you by it. But that's called learning. That's called life. They were in the same boat you were in years ago, days before you started the same thing. Nobody woke up one morning and just knew everything. So you don't worry about that either. Learning something new and not knowing how to do something is not a detriment. It's not something that is a negative in your life. Not knowing how to do something is opportunity to learn something new. What is wrong with that? And if people want to judge you on failing at something you want to learn, something you plan on getting better at, if they want to judge you on that, that's their loss. Let them be content with their lives and the average stuff that they do that they feel like they're so good at. That's their choice. That gives them no right to judge you, and I wouldn't worry about them. The people who have succeeded and they're looking back and down upon you, who cares? Let them. If that makes them feel better, let them. In the back of their mind, they know they were exactly where you were at one point in their lives. Just remember that. They're doing it because somebody did it to them. And now they want to take that energy and put it on someone else so they can feel better about the times that they went through exactly what they're trying to do to you. Don't take it personal, because most of the time it's not. These are people dealing with their own issues. They're just dealing with it in the wrong way. Your heartbeat is yours. Nobody owns it. It's your rhythm of your life. You have the opportunity to march at the beat of your own rhythm. You're in this world, you're connected, but you're you. There's no one else like you. You're the only you on this planet. There will be no other you, and there never was before you. You have to find all the good that's in yourself and use that as fuel to become the best version of who you could be. It doesn't matter if you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, it does not matter. You could be 100 years old. The clock is still ticking, your heart is still beating. You're still in rhythm. Maybe you have to make adjustments. We all make adjustments. But just remember, you are you. You should love yourself for that. You're unique. There's no one like you. You tap into that. That's your fuel. I want to present the world with all the uniqueness of myself. And I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not going to be afraid of it. If no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.